Hello everyone, this is Kiran and today we are going to talk about V model, which is one of the majorly used software development lifecycle models after waterfall. So let's discuss about it. So V model, as you can see the diagram, it's a variant of waterfall model. In all the software development lifecycle models, we have to follow all the SDLC steps, but in their own patterns, in their own ways. We saw in the last video about how waterfall is used. It's a sequential model wherein we have to follow all the steps one after the other, and we are not allowed to trace back to the previous phase in between the progress. Similarly, V model is also a sequential model, but there is a tweak, there is a difference in using V model. It's better than waterfall in a way that we can utilize the time, and parallel testing activities keep on happening in this model. So we'll understand how it is different from waterfall, at the same time how it is better from waterfall. Let's begin. This is a verification and validation model. We have already discussed it's a variant of waterfall. Testing of the product is planned parallelly. Usually the test cases are written parallel to all the steps of the SDLC. So we'll discuss how. So let me show you this diagram. As you all can see on my screen, the sequential model as the waterfall follows. So there's a project startup which happens here, and then the first step of SDLC is requirement gathering, which is there in V model as well. Then we have design phases. Now here the design phase has been split into two sub phases. You can see here these two combinedly is called design, which is the second step of the SDLC. But here the first the design has been split into high level design, HLD, and low level design phases. What do we mean by high level design and low level design? Let's say we are working on an e-commerce platform, and we have various modules starting from registration, then we have login pages, then we have home page, cart page, payment pages, and so on. So we can see the designing of the overall modules, that there will be registration, there will be login, there will be home page, cart page, search page. So designing of these functionality, overall functionalities, can be termed as high level designing phase. Then when we take one module, let's say we talk about the registration module, and we design its sub parts, what all fields will be there in the registration module when we are trying to register a person. If we talk about the registration page, let's say, so this is the registration page of any website. So we'll have first name, last name, email address, mobile number, sign up button, and terms and conditions probably. So whatever should be possible, should be present on the registration page will be a part of the low level designing phase. So that's how the design phase has been broken into high level and low level design. Now then we come up with the third phase, which is coding or implementation of the in SDLC. This is the center of the V, as you can see here. So the coding happens. We know after coding we have to do testing. Now you can see here the testing phase, entire SDLC has been broken down into different phases here. So we'll talk about it. This is fourth phase of SDLC, which is testing. After testing there is maintenance, so ongoing support. You can see here this is the fifth phase of SDLC. So we can see the SDLC is performed, but in a pattern which creates a V shape. Now why this V shape and why coding is the center of the V, we'll see. Now first is the requirement definition. The requirement is gathered. It is very much related to what clients need and what we have to deliver. So this is related to the UAT testing. You can see here the UAT phase of testing. If you remember, I have explained you about the phases of testing in a previous video, wherein we know that the majorly there are 4 phases. One is unit testing, which is performed by the developers. Then there is integration. Then there is system testing. There is UAT. And then there is maintenance. Now, here you can see the UAT is related to the requirement gathering phase of the SDLC. So when the requirement gathering phase of the SDLC happens in V models, the testing team starts writing the UAT test cases. So there is no person sitting idle here. We are simultaneously creating the UAT test cases along with the requirement gathering phase. After the requirement gathering, there is design phase. So in the HLD, high level designing, when it is happening, we will be writing the integration and system test cases. So, sorry, here you can see, here we'll be mentioning the system plus integration test cases. So here, when high level design is happening, we are writing the integration and system test cases. And when the detailed designing is happening here, so each module is designed at a unit level, then unit test cases are written. These are written by the developers because unit testing is done by the developers. So unit test cases are written, and then before that coding happens. Now we talk about the SDLC. Requirement gathering phase happens, then design phase happens, both HLD and LLD. Then there is coding. Then there is testing. Now when we are actually testing, we don't need to write the test cases again. We already have the test cases with us. We'll need to execute the test cases. Probably we need to update the test cases based on the UI which has been created, because based on the documents, creating test cases might not be 100% success, but yes, you have something ready before testing phase has come. So you can reuse the test cases, you can update them and start executing them. There's a lot of time which is being saved here. After that, there's deployment and maintenance. We'll come back to advantages and disadvantages of V model. This is simple and easy to use, as good as waterfall. Now testing activities are planned prior and we are having parallel testing activities going on, so a lot of time is saved when we actually reach to the testing phase. Now if somebody is writing test cases for a particular phase, there's quite a possibility that bugs are caught early at an earlier stage. So there's less chances of downward flow of defects here in V model. It works well with the software where the requirements are well understood. Yes, because we are moving forward with here all the restrictions which are there on the waterfall applies to this model as well. So we can't trace back here also. So we have to be very well aware of the requirements if we are choosing this model. We'll talk about the disadvantages as well. Now, software is developed during the implementation phase, so no early prototype. The client will come to or have a look on the product only at the deployment phase. No early prototype is ready here also. Here an extra overhead or disadvantage gets added on, because if there is a change, the entire testing document also needs to be changed along with the change. So let's say we are moving on with the requirement gathering and then we are in the design phase, and there is a slight change in the low, when we're in the low level design phase, let's say there's a change, so the unit test cases has to be updated again. So of course there is a overhead of updating the documents. There is no risk analysis which is performed in these models, waterfall or V. So for that we need to learn about a risk analysis based model, which is the next video on spiral models. We'll talk about it. So here there is no risk analysis happening. None of the risks are analyzed, or any other actions to resolve the risks, they are not taken care of in these models. When do we use? So we should only use for medium sized products or projects where the definitions are requirements are very clearly defined, of course. Now, the resources should be very much technical. They should have ample technical knowledge. Why? Because you can see here, we are creating the test cases way ahead of the product. The UI is not even ready, still we are creating the test cases. So person has to be very much knowledgeable technically on what the product is about, and they should be able to write test cases with the documents which they have. Again, the customer confidence is important in these kind of models, because there's no prototype and the customer has to wait until the product is ready. So a lot of confidence of the customer is important in such models. So that's about V model. It is a variant of waterfall, but the parallel testing activities are performed, which saves a lot of time, and this is certainly better than waterfall. But again, all the disadvantages of waterfall add on to this model as well. So we'll talk about even better model than this, which is spiral, in our next video. Thank you.